Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. That was funny. That clip. That Anyway, it was just funny. Anyway, today I'm going to show you how to build a dashboard using Streamlit. Streamlit is a system, and it is a Python package that helps you to quickly prototype an analytics dashboard, and it also helps you to host um, web apps using Python. And most of people who use Streamlit are data scientists like you and me, and I felt like it is good for me to just show you how much powerful Streamlit is in this video. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to build this dashboard here that you can see here. And hopefully you'll enjoy it, and hopefully you learn something. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's begin by defining the Python version that we're going to use. I use pyenv to define locally on a particular folder the Python version that I want to use in a particular project. So pyenv local, then I'm going to use Python 3.10. I haven't yet found a way of installing Python 3.11 in pyenv, but if you know how to include it in pyenv, you can leave it in the comments. Then I'm going to create a virtual environment. So Python -m venv So we have created a Python environment, virtual environment, called VM. Then we're going to activate it. So with source VM bin activate. Then we're going to install the packages, the Python packages or modules that we are going to be using in this project. So pip install, we're going to use pip. We're going to use pandas. We're going to use Streamlit. We're going to use Plotly. We're going to use Seaborn, and we are going to use NumPy, which comes with pandas, and matplotlib, which also comes with pandas. Yeah, so we're going to install these packages here. Then after installing the packages, I'm going to code using VS Code. You can code using any other code editor or IDE. So I'm going to launch my VS Code here. Then I'm going to create a file called main.py. Yeah, so this is where I'm going to have all of my code, and we're also going to have a folder that will contain our data. So I'm going to call this folder data, and now that we have this folder, I'm going to look for that data. I downloaded it. The link to the data source is in the description of this video. So I have brought the dataset here. It's called billionaire list 20 years.csv. Then now we are ready to begin building the dashboard or the web app that is going to show the visuals. So we're going to import the packages. The first package is Streamlit, and Streamlit is a package and a system that helps you to quickly build a prototype dashboard and helps you to host. So you can host Streamlit dashboard on their site, and the link to also this dashboard is in the description. So let's import Streamlit. And the alias for Streamlit is usually SD. Then let's import pandas as PD. Then we're going to import Sibon as SNS. Then we're going to also use Plotly Express. So we're going to import Plotly.express as px. Then we install, we import datetime because we're going to use datetime at some point. So from datetime, import datetime, then NumPy. We are going to import NumPy. As NP. Then let's make this bigger for you to see. And as I'm making this bigger, you can be subscribing if you've not. Right. So the first thing that I want to do is to import the data that we have here. And then after importing it, do some bit of cleaning, drop the columns that we don't need. And then from there, we're going to build the dashboard. So my data is going to be panda.read.csv. And the file is inside data, so it is data / billionaire list CSV blah blah blah. So I'm going to get its name here. So it is this file name. So we, after importing that, we don't want to work with missing values. So I'm going to drop missing values, .drop NA. Then I also don't want to work with some columns. So I'm going to drop so many columns. If you have a look at this data frame, let me just write the code here first. So .drop, and I am going to drop a list of columns, and after dropping them, I'm going to specify that they're columns. Either you could say drop columns equals to that list, or just say axis equals to 1. So whatever we're going to put inside here is the columns that we don't want. So I'm not going to work with the names. So the first name and the last name. So do we have them here? So I have last name here and first name. I have a list of columns somewhere. Let me just find them that I don't need. Also, you should know that I worked on this, so I have code somewhere. So these are the columns that I'm not going to be working with here. Last name, first name, last name is repeated twice. I think I meant first name. Do we have first name? Right, so let's remove this. Then after dropping this, we are going now to work with the data that has remained. The first thing we're going to do is to clean the date. So like the birth year is going to be a date time. So I'm going to do data and the column called birth year. And the birth year, I'm going to convert it into a date time format with the format of a year. So it's going to be pandas dot date time dot to date time, I mean to date time, and what we are converting to date time is the same column. Then we specify the format. Format is percentage year. So there we have converted the format of that date. So here, if you look at the year with the birth year, I'm going to find it, Control F, birth year. So you see birth year is green, and here it looks like an integer. So this integer, we converted it into date time. Then the next thing we're going to do is to clean the main industry. So we're going to replace and with and. You'll understand what I'm meaning here. So data main industry. It's going to be data, the same thing, data main industry. Then we're going to replace just a bit of data cleaning so that things look uniform. So we get the string, so all the strings, and then for each of those strings, we're going to replace. And we're going to replace the ampersand with and. So if you go to main industry somewhere, main industry is here and it is blue, this kind of blue. I think it is this. So somewhere you'll see an ampersand or a minus. I think we can do with a minus. So that will be cleaned. The ampersand will be replaced with the and. Then we also don't want duplicates. So we're going to do data dot drop duplicates. We drop duplicates. We want to keep the first one. So we keep first. Yes, and we want to persist the result in the same data frame. So in place equals to true. The next thing we are going to do is to clean the countries. So we're going to say data countries is equal to the same data countries, and it is a string, so we can work with the string methods of the series. So dot string dot, we're going to split. We're going to split the countries, and each country is separated by a semicolon. So we're going to split it by a semicolon, and then we expand it. So expand equals to true. So when you do expand equals to true, it converts the series, this splitted series, into columns, and then we're going to pick the first one. So we find that where the billionaire is coming from, or their main country of operations, are many. So we pick the first one, so that we can be specific on the country that their primary country. So we can check here in the data. Let's find country. So here country is green. This is permanent country. Let's look for countries. Yeah, they're here. This kind of green. But I can't find them clearly here. But you'll see, like, for example, here we have United Arab Emirates. The people who have replied with so many countries inside, and they're separated by a semicolon, and we need to just pick the first one from their reply. So when you do data exploration on this, we're not doing the data exploration because I want to show you how to build the dashboard, but during my data exploration I got to know about these things. They're not just coming out of nowhere. So like knowing that and the birth year is a number, and it has duplicates, and the countries, it was during data exploration. So this is the data cleaning that we're going to do for here. Then from there, now we can start building our dashboard. So the first thing we're going to do is to put a title on our dashboard. So streamlit has a title method. So the title is like a heading or a header or a H1 for people who do web design, and we shall see how it is going to appear. So the heading here, I'm going to call it Global Billionaires Dashboard. Then I think we can run this. Let me just can go to our terminal here. So we can run this and we see if it is going to be to show us what we expect. So we run streamlit. Run, and then main.py. So hopefully we have not made any mistake, and it is going to run. Yeah, so it ran, and I'm going to pull this window here, and now it is showing global billionaires dashboard. That means that it ran all this code, and it ran this part here. So this part here is where we have put the element that comes to the dashboard here. So the next thing is we're going to add elements to this dashboard until we get the dashboard that we are expecting. So the next element we're going to add is a sidebar. So I'm going to add a sidebar to this, and sidebar is just called sidebar. So we're going to have a context manager so that everything inside the context manager will be contained inside that context. And this context that we are going to work with now is a sidebar. So streamlit dot sidebar. And then the first thing we want is we want to work with the main industry, and we want the sidebar to have like an element that will help us to select the main industry. So the first thing I'm going to do is to I'm just going to call this select element so that I know which element is there. Then industries will be a list of all industries. So I'm going to get those industries from the data itself. So I'm going to say an industry Y or an I. So Y for Y, this is a list comprehension in data, and the data we're going to, from the data we're going to get the main industry. But since these main industries are repeated, we're going to get only unique values from that column. So we add dot unique. So we have Y for Y in this, and main industry may possibly having a missing value. If it has a missing value, what we're going to do is to make sure that we have all strings for main industry. So we're going to convert everything into a string. So this will give us a list of all industries, and we want to sort them so that when you're clicking on the select button, you have a sorted list. So we're going to have industries.sort. So that is the sorted list. Then from there, we're going to create a select box for the main industries. So we're going to have, I also want someone to be able to select all industries. Like you can select one of the main industry being, let's say, technology. Then somebody could also say, I want to just see visualizations for all industries. So I'm going to have here all underscore industries. All industries being equal to, so the first list will be just a text of all industries. And then we're going to add industries. So you know that when you add two lists, all their items are combined. It's like concatenation. Then we want to see which industry is someone going to select. So we're going to have industries selected. So the industry selected based on what you click on the UI. So we're going to have streamlit.select select box. So that will be a select box. and we want a prompt inside the select box to be select industries. And the industries you're selecting from will be from all industries. Then, so this returns the value of what you've selected as industries. So what we want to do is to subset our data frame so that we can have the industries that you have selected, and the visuals will return based on the subset of the data. So we're going to do if industry selected, if this is not equal to all industries, because we know that if you've selected all industries, we don't need to subset the data frame. We don't need to filter. By subset I mean filtering. We don't need to filter the data frame. So we say if it is not that, then we can subset based on the selected industry. So if it is not that, then let's subset our data, or our data frame is going to be our data, and the filter now inside here will be where the main industry, that means data main industry, is equal to the industry selected. So what will happen here will be the data filtered by industry selected will be the data that is returned here. Apart from that, let's save this and then we look at how it looks like here. Yep, so now we have the sidebar here and we have all industries, but we have so many other industries that we can select. And when you select, you can see it running here. We can select all industries back. You can see it trying to filter and then bringing you back. So this is kind of a nice thing to have. Then the next thing, we're going to add another element into the sidebar, and the next element is the slider. I'm going to have only 2 elements. We could have so many elements, but this video is going to be long, so I just show you what Streamlit can do, and you can do more with it at your own free time. So the slider I'm going to have is a years time slider. So I'm going to get years, and it's also going to be a list comprehension. Y for Y in data time, and this feature, I think it's a feature that shows you how long someone has been in that, either in that business or in that main industry. So unique, and I want whatever is returned here to be an integer. So it's going to be a list of all the times that were responded to. Then what we're going to do now is to define the slider and the value that is going to be returned by the slider. So yes, so I'm going to have yes slider is going to be streamlit dot slider, and in that slider I want to put the prompt text, and the prompt text will be select the range of years, And then the next thing that we're going to put here is we're going to put here a tuple, which is going to show us the minimum and the maximum time in years. We're also going to put what is selected. So the minimum value that we're going to put in the slider is going to be just a minimum of years time. And then the maximum value for the slider is going to be the max of years time. But we also need two values to be selected, so we're going to have a tuple with the same things. So when you save this, we come here, we refresh. Hopefully we have not done something wrong, which we have done. So int object is not callable. Which line is this? Line 32. So line 32, they're saying that there is an integer object that is not callable. So let's debug this. There should be a comma here. Save, refresh, voila. So it was the comma. So we have here the range slider that, yeah, when we select the range, it kind of runs. So we have this range slider. We can select the range. So you can have as much items as possible here. All the widgets you want to work with on your dashboard, you can put them on the sidebar. I like putting them here. Then we can now subset our data. Because we now have the range slider, we can see our data. First of all, we're going to work with the time, because we already made this one an integer. We also need to make everything there an integer. This is some kind of repetition, but you can refactor this code to do it once. You're supposed to do it only once. So data time, we apply, and then we apply lambda, t, and for each t we want to return it as an integer of t. Then now we can subset it. Please, this line of code here and this line of code provide some kind of repetition. You can refactor it to be better. So let's just continue. Data. We're now subsetting based on the time. So data time. And we want where data time is greater than the first value, that is the minimum value, greater than or equal to whatever is returned here. But the first value, and we also want it to be less than the maximum value, so that we can subset so less than or equal to the maximum value. And this, now from the sidebar, we have subset the data the way we want. We have selected the industry, and then we have subset the data here, or filter the data, and then we have selected the slider, and we have filtered the data here. So the next thing we are going to do now is to build charts inside here. And the chart we're going to build are going to be we are going to create some kind of columns and rows, so that we can have each column and row having a chart. So the first thing we're going to do is to define a container. So also the container for each element of Streamlit, I'm going to be putting them in a context manager. So with Streamlit dot container, so I'm going to put this one in a container. So inside the container, and inside that container, we're going to define 3 columns. So I'm going to have column 1, column 2, and column 3. And those columns will be from also streamlit dot columns. And the argument there is 3 because we want 3 columns. Then for each of the 3 columns, we're going to put them in their own context. So with column 1, in the context of column 1, I'm going to put their metrics. So I want to know the number of billionaires that we have in the data. So I'm going to have here billionaires. And these billionaires will be, so this is the variable, and we're going to have data, and they have unique names. Each billionaire has a unique name. So we have a column for clean names. So name cleaned dot unique, because we want unique value. So this one gives us the billionaires, but what we want is the number of them. So I'm going to just get the shape of that and 0. So this gives me the number of rows that are returned there, and that will be the billionaires. And then I'm going to publish those billionaires on the dashboard. So st as a metric, and the metric will be having a text as billionaires, and the number of billionaires will be this value that we get here. Then the second column with column 2, here I want the maximum annual income. For each of these billionaires, how much do they earn? How much money do they earn as a maximum? So maximum annual income, and I'm going to say max income is going to be, so we get this from the annual income. So we're going to have data. There's a column called annual income, and then we get dot max. Then we publish this the same way we did this, and then here we call it max annual income. And put this here. Then the third column, the same thing, but now we're looking for minimum annual income. This will be min, and this will be min. This will be here, and then this will be min. So we save this. Then let's always rerun here. It gives us a prompt that whenever we save, what should we do? No, let's not do anything because it may throw errors. Right, so we have the truth value of series is ambiguous. Which line is this? So this line here, we have this data. They're saying that the truth value is ambiguous. So we have, this is line 35. Saying the truth value here is ambiguous. So your slider. Okay, so let's try to put this around the brackets and also this around bracket. Then we save, then refresh. Voila. Just failing to understand this piece of code up here. So this will return truth values, and also this will return truth values. And for each row, this and this have to be true for the data to be filtered. So we have this. We have 700 billionaires in our data set. The maximum amount of money someone has ever earned is this, and the minimum is this. So make sure you earn this in dollars and you become a billionaire. This is the minimum you should earn in a year. Right, this needs formatting. I'm not going to do this. What I want to do is just to build the visuals, and then styling of the visuals, you can do that later as you continue working with this dataset. So we're finding that Streamlit is a very easy to use package that helps you to build dashboards, and you can have these visuals hosted anywhere, because just running Streamlit on your terminal, and you're able to see the dashboard. So you can have this somewhere in the cloud, maybe in EC2 instance or somewhere, and have your dashboard running and people accessing it, and maybe building some security features around it. But also Streamlit has a service that helps you to host. So you can host, like, I think 1 or 2 dashboards for free, and then maybe you can pay for another way of other resources for you to host. You can check them out. Some link also to Streamlit is in the description. So the next thing we're going to do now is to build the other visuals. So we are going to build, what should we build? Billionaires by country. Let's work with the billionaires by country, and we put it in a particular column. Yeah, I think we can just put billionaires by country in a table. Let's do it. So the first visual we're going to have is billionaires by country. Hopefully your country will show up here. My country may not show up here. So Streamlit dot write. So what we want to do is to write a text on the dashboard. So we use Streamlit dot write. Then we are going to say billionaires by country. I want to put it as a table, so I'm going to say billionaires billionaires by country. Table. So we have a table that has billionaires, country and the number of billionaires. That's what I'm going to do here. So we're going to do data frame df is going to be equal to data and what we want now is to get only countries and the names. So I'm going to get countries, then name cleaned, what we don't want is to have duplicates, so I'm going to have slash dot drop duplicates, and we keep only the first one. Keep first. Then we are going to, the next thing we're going to do is to group by. So we're grouping by countries. Group by countries. Then the next thing is we are going to count. So we're going to count the name cleaned, and we group it by countries. Then after that, I'm going to sort. I'm going to sort values by name cleaned, the number that we have counted. So sort values by this. Then the next thing we're going to do, first of all, after sorting, we're going to make sure that we're not ascending. So we want it to be descending. So ascending equals to false. And that will be the data frame that we want to show. So what we're going to do first is data frame dot rename, and we're going to rename the column name cleaned to billionaires. So rename inside here column, and the columns that we're going to put here. So here I'm going to put a dictionary that will help with the mapping. So we're mapping name cleaned with billionaires. Yeah, so after that we persist in place. Then let's publish it to the dashboard. So streamlit dot data frame, and our data frame is df. I'm going to transpose it. Okay, and then just define the width. The width equals to 2000. Let me save this. And let's refresh here. And we have our data frame here. So we have already created all these visuals, and you can see if you use the filters, they work. You can select an industry, energy. There are 28 billionaires, and most of them are from US and Russia. Right, so let's add more visuals. At least now it is becoming interesting, hopefully. The next visual we are going to add will be, in fact, by now I think you know how much you need to do when adding, but if you haven't, I'm going to fast forward the adding of the rest of the visuals, then I explain it to you, because now it is going to be repetitive. So I have added these visuals here. So we have billionaires by gender, billionaires by industry, and billionaires by age, and average annual income of billionaires. Those are the visuals that I've added, but it is kind of the same way that we are adding them. Let me explain from, I think we stopped here. We added the data frame here. So the next thing that we did was to add the two columns, creating two columns using streamlit columns, the same way we did up here. So it's just a repetition. And then with the first column, we create the billionaires by gender and the data subset by gender. The first thing we did was to drop duplicates, then we group by gender, we count, and then just resetting index to make sure that the gender becomes one of the columns. Then after that, we used Plotly Express, the pie chart inside it, and there's the data frame, and the names, the value, I mean the labels of the pie chart will be the gender, and then the values come from the count that we have. This is just the radius for the pie chart, this radius here, the radius from here to here. The radius of the hole inside there, then this is the title, and then how big do you want the pie chart to be. And then this is just to publish it to the dashboard. The same thing happened here. Do the wrangling on the data, then after that we published it. So using Streamlit is that easy. And now this dashboard is ready to be published to Streamlit site. I already published it, and let me just get a link to it here to Streamlit. It's as easy as just signing up to Streamlit and then connecting it to the GitHub repo. And from the GitHub repo, why is it not? It has been dormant for a very long time, and I think that's why it is not. But the link to the app is in the description. You can have a look at it. The link to the code is also in the description. You can have fun with it. The link to the data source is also in the description. Yep. Hopefully you have learned something from the tutorial or the video I've shown you. And if you've learned something, please leave a like, subscribe if you have not. Until next time, take care.